Welcome to the All the Stuff podcast, where we jam about money, clutter, and food, and the real stuff under this stuff. Join me, Lisa Carpenter, your resident food coach, along with my co-hosts, money coach Jen Turrell and clutter coach Lisa Sharp, as we help you release what's weighing you down and heal your relationship with food, money, and clutter from the inside out.
Hi, and welcome to today's episode of All the Stuff with me, Jen Turrell, Lisa Carpenter, and Lisa Sharp. Today we're going to talk about the challenges that come about in all of our areas of stuff during the summer. So I was going to start it off real quick and just get it rolling. For me, in finances, the biggest summer challenge is the summer childcare challenge. Before having kids, I really didn't notice how different summer is from the rest of the year for a lot of people. And up until both my kids were in school, it still wasn't that different because preschool could go through the summer. I was used to paying preschool tuition every month, so doing a few more months didn't seem that different. But particularly because my kids have a few special needs that makes it difficult to just plop them in any old summer program, I really feel the pinch in summer, both in terms of time, because my time is different. I'm like piecing together this camp and that therapy and this, violin lesson. We just started a piano lesson for one of the kids. Just trying to fill up the hours with fun, educational, nourishing, exciting things, but also leaving me some time to work. So I think a lot of two-income families who rely on school for their main childcare during the school year really struggle in the summer. So that's kind of where I wanted to start things, but I would love to hear what you guys see with both of your areas in the summer and finances in the summer too.
Oh, so Jake has not started kindergarten yet. So in terms of our childcare, it's kind of established throughout the whole year. So we're good to go. Although our help is going on holidays next week. So we're kind of scrambling at the last minute to figure out what we're going to do with them. And it's begged me to ask the bigger question of, if I'm trying to create this business of freedom, shouldn't I be able to just take some time off instead of going, well, I have to work? Like, that's kind of part of why I do what I do. So I'm kind of looking at next week saying, okay, well, here's the challenge. Maybe it's not about putting them in a camp or doing something or trying to scramble around for childcare, but what can I do on my end to make this work and embrace the fact that she's not going to be around and I get to spend that time with Jake. But next year when he is in kindergarten, then it'll be a whole new ball of wax, because I can't have the whole, well, I guess technically I could, but I'm not there yet to be able to have the entire summer off. And even if I know me, I still like to be able to work, and I like to be able to do it without, my little minion running around. The older boys, they're bigger. One of them has a job now, which is pretty awesome. So summer is it's really interesting seeing his perspective of, like, summer is a time he wants to put money in the bank, and he's recognizing how much more he can do when he has savings. So it's cool to be having the conversations with him around money that I never had with my parents. And, without putting my hands on it too much, giving him an idea of, saving versus spending, trying to create some habits, trying to create some automation at like 16 years of age. So that's pretty that's pretty cool. So that's kind of where I'm at in terms of finance and kids and juggling. Now, in my area of expertise, it's the eating in the summer that my people really struggle with. It's kind of like over Christmas, there's the summer barbecues, and in particular, a lot of alcohol flows over the summer. I'm personally not a drinker, but a lot of my clients do like to drink. So it's looking at the stories around food and what healthy food means and what fun food is. And the dialogue people attach to that. It's kind of like, Jen, you probably relate to this. When you go on vacation, people tend to spend because it's like, I'm on vacation, I don't care, I'm just going to spend. And then they come back and they're like, oh my God, we spent way more money than we meant to. The hangover, the financial hangover of the summer. And the same is true with food. It's, I really try and help my people go through the summer months and learn the balance, the push and the pull, the still taking care of themselves, the breaking down the stories around food being fun, and just learning how to make choices around it so that they can come out of the summer months and still feel as good as when they went in without ever feeling like they deprived themselves or they missed out. It's that new level of consciousness. So that's kind of, the summer is a whole, it's a whole mess of a whole lot of stuff for a lot of people. So what do you think, Lisa?
Yeah, I can definitely see the struggle with all of these things really kind of comes down to like organization and mindset. And it's like we get sort of the, free for all, like, it's summer, let's go have some fun. Let's go do, break all the rules and do all the things, that we're not supposed to be doing. Mm-hmm. And that can show up in overeating and overspending and buying too much stuff, of not having any routines at home. And while you guys know I love some flexibility, it can really get a little mushy, both personally and professionally. I definitely feel that way with not having, I have 2 kids, 13 and 10. So they're pretty independent, but, I still have sort of the mommy guilt. Like if I'm not doing stuff with them, if I'm not interacting with them, and then I sort of, bounce back and forth about like how I was raised and how, I turned out okay.
Yeah, and, I didn't have any of those camps and
right.
All the stuff that we try to do with our kids. I think I read and hung out a lot.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. And pretty much like any sitcom from like the 60s, 70s or 80s, I know them like all like cold because I spent most of my summers just watching reruns of 30-minute sitcoms. So that's like my superpower, is knowing a lot of sitcoms.
Yeah, it was like go outside. It was like go outside, and when the street lights come on,
exactly,
be home.
Exactly.
And my parents didn't really ask where I was, what I was doing, or who I was with. It was just like, when the street light comes on, you better have your butt back in your feet.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And and there's so much to that. There's so much freedom in that, and self-exploration and confidence that comes from just being, just doing whatever. So I think there's a lot to that. So I try to leave my kids alone, and not, like when they're younger, you do kind of need to schedule them a little bit more. I find anyway, just because everybody kind of goes, crazy if you're just staring at each other all day long. But as they get older, it gets a little bit less hands-on, and they can they're more self-sufficient. And I'm finding all of those skills that I like really worked hard to impart on my children when they were very young have really come to fruition. Like they're making their own lunches, they wash their own dishes, they do, they know they have to clean up, after themselves, that sort of thing. I mean, and that's not to say that they're like happily doing it, like, yay, which chores do I get to do next? But they will do it. And I think that those are really good life skills. So, for me, it's during the summer, it's always a balance of that free time, the freedom, the, kind of throwing some of the rules out, but not enough that everything kind of comes off, the wheels come off the bus, like with food, with finances for sure. Like I really do try to like always stick to a food budget, more or less. We do tend to go out to eat a little bit more during the summer because we like to go eat outside and not do the dishes, which is always lovely. But then kind of keeping that mindfulness of like, what's my protein? What's my vegetable? Okay, I ate like 50 more chips than I should have, but it's not. But the foundation is still there.
Yeah.
So even if I'm, we're at the beach and we're going out to eat, I'm not using that as an excuse to just sort of, throw the baby out with the bathwater. It's like, okay, I can still have fun and go after my goals and maintain my sanity. And I think sanity is actually more important than reaching my goals,
Yes.
Yeah.
I agree.
So. And for sure, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go for it.
I was just going to say, I definitely noticed that with my clients, that during the summer, they will end up spending a whole lot of money because they think that they need to remember everything through their stuff. So they go on vacation and they buy all the little trinkets, and they have to buy the kids the t-shirt and the souvenir cup and the pictures and the Mickey Mouse ears and all of the crap that goes along with going on vacation. It's wonderful crap, but it's crap nonetheless. And then we bring it all home, and mostly it just sits there. And then it just becomes another stuffed animal, another t-shirt, another whatever that you're sort of having to plow your way through. So, like I really encourage my clients to think about, like, what are they buying? Is it junk spending? Like Jen and I have talked about this many times. Junk spending just meaning you're just buying the sort of nutrient light sort of food. You're not buying anything that's really substantial and long lasting, and you're just buying it because it's there in front of you, and sort of being mindful of just buying things that would actually enhance your life, that is well made and will actually stay in your space for a long period of time, and just buying a lot less of it and being more about the experiences rather than the stuff. And the more you are about, you can enjoy your beautiful meal that's healthy when you're sitting outside of the beach. You don't have to eat all the fried crap just because you have the opportunity. You don't need to buy the t-shirt. You can just buy, like a new bathroom rug that's the same color as the beach one that you had at the beach house. You know what I mean? Nice. So it's like integrating your experience in with your daily life so that it's not quite so jarring. You don't end up with a bunch of excess.
Mm-hmm. It's like that FOMO thing, right?
Yeah.
Sure. Well, and I was thinking when you were talking about buying the souvenirs. So in 2012 was the first time I ever took my kids to Disneyland. We don't live that near, but when I was a kid, my grandparents lived in Pasadena. So Anaheim was super close. So we went a lot, and my parents never bought me the ears. So my family, we would go on vacation places, but we would always do the scaled back version of whatever it was. Like we wouldn't do the first class version of it. Yeah. So when we took my kids to Disneyland, we'd gotten the service dog, which was the only reason I felt, again, I have the added difficulty with the childcare and everything of having kids with special needs. So going to somewhere crowded, waiting in lines, all of that was a super big deal for my oldest in particular. So we did all of this stuff. We did all this preparation. We made these books, so she could plan out what was going to happen. We're going to have to wait in lines, like what was going to happen. And we got there, and I was like, we are buying them Mickey ears. My kids are getting the Mickey ears with their names on them because I always wanted the Mickey ears. And you know what? They couldn't care less.
Right. That was your thing.
It was my thing. They didn't care all about the Mickey ears. I still have them at the top of a closet in there because I didn't want to throw them away. And I do, just thinking about them, I was like, they're so dusty now. You can't wash them. They're made out of felt. They're not quality in any way. Like that really didn't enhance our experience. And I forced it on my kids because I had this longing for Mickey ears when I was a kid, and I couldn't have them. And if my parents had got them, it probably would have been no big deal at all.
Absolutely.
And yet, so that is one of those moments where I realized, like, I totally didn't need to do that. Yeah. And Lisa Carpenter, the other thing I thought of while you were talking about eating through the summer. So a bit of a conflict that I find is all of this, vacation eating, barbecuing with people, doing all this stuff. At the same time, when we're told that we're supposed to have a bikini-ready body, which honestly, I don't wear bikinis anyways. Even before having kids, when I was in shape, I wasn't much of a bikini person just because I've never really worked on those abs to get them in that way that you see in the magazine.
You're so baiting me here.
You are.
Okay.
You're so baiting me here.
That's good because I feel like it's a pressure a lot of us had, and we, you go through. Like I was just at Target yesterday, going through the line, and I saw one of those magazines that was best and worst beach body celebrities, and I was like, they are put up. Like here we are taking these people and tearing them apart who had probably just gone to the beach like we do with our families or whatever, and yet we take pictures and show their cellulite and make us all feel like, oh my God, if I wear something like that, everyone's going to see my, whatever.
It's hard for us not to judge ourselves when we constantly see people around us judging. But the truth is, like, we all have a bikini body. You got a body, put a bikini on it if you want to wear it. It's your willingness of saying, I have to care more about how I think and feel about myself and I got to put down this self-judgment and just own it. And that's one of the things I really love inside of my program. When I see women saying, like, they're just stepping into it. They're owning their body where it is right now. they're doing their best to really love themselves and understanding it's okay to want to change their bodies at the same time. Like, loving yourself doesn't mean that you just like, you know, wave the white flag and that means you're going to gain 50 pounds. That's not it. It's saying that you're learning to love your body, and there's still things that you want for yourself. So the FOMO that I was talking about, it's very much like the Mickey ears too. It's summer's around and there's margaritas and there's daiquiris and there's chips and pop and all like the summer food. And it's that fear of, well, if I don't eat it, I'm going to miss out. But the truth is, like, that food you can buy year round. Like, if you want something, go down to the store in December and you can get it. Are you willing to stay conscious of your choices? And what it really comes down to, I think, whether it's buying things, where you're spending your money, your clutter, is the decision that you're making going to support how you want to feel? Is it going to support how you want to feel in your space? Is it going to support how you want to feel in your body? Is it going to support how you want to feel about your bank account balance and the status of your finances? So there's never a right or wrong way. Like, you really can't screw it up. If you want to have the pretzels, have the pretzels. But be willing to move on and don't judge yourself for the choices that you're making, or don't say, well, now I had the pretzels, so I'm never going to wear a bikini. That's not the truth. You can eat the pretzels while wearing the bikinis if you want. You just have to decide to kind of let go of all the crap. So you don't carry a lot of judgment around your finances, Jen, because that's your wheelhouse, right? Like, it's very neutral for you, but there's still judgment there around how you think your body should look or the type of foods you should be eating. Whereas I look at food the same way you look at money. It's neutral. It's neither good or bad. Your body is where it is. Lisa looks at clutter and stuff that you're bringing in and out of your house the same way, as neutral. Whereas I have a whole lot more emotional charge around my stuff and my finances. And even when you were talking about souvenirs and stuff, I've really stopped buying that because I know I'm not going to it's just going to be a waste of money. I'm not going to put it anywhere. I've had to get over the guilt of that and just say, like, it's no big deal. And I've actually even stopped taking as many pictures as I used to, because I realized that my pictures end up being digital clutter that I never go back and look at. I don't print them off. And I've decided I'm just going to work on staying in the moment and recognizing that the memory up here a lot of times is going to have to be good enough. So I will take a few pictures, but I don't come home with like the gazillion pictures on my iPhone anymore, because it's the same thing. It's just more clutter, and it's more grounded in the belief that I'm going to miss something or I'm going to forget something. So yeah, eat your pretzels, Jen, or whatever your food is. But really think about what you want for yourself. And then if your choices are supporting what you really want. If you really, really wanted that bikini body, or, you know, the one that you believe in your head is the right type of bikini body, then you'd be taking the steps to move you towards that. So I would challenge you with saying, like, I don't think that's a strong why for you. So if you're changing your habits around food, you really have to determine why that's important and let that inspire you. And it's not about having six-pack abs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I've given up on my Gwen Stefani abs because I did watch a video to see what she does for them. And I was like, no. My life is so far from that.
It's lifting with a different level of discipline. And I don't live as disciplined as I used to. I definitely, open up the windows. Everybody knows I really love candy. But I don't nearly eat as many things as most people do, just because I know how it makes me feel. So I really avoid those type of foods. Mm-hmm. But then other people are going to have way more discipline than I do when it comes to decluttering. Like, that's still a job for me. I still have to think about it with my money. It's still a job. I still very much have to be very conscious about it. So it's just different for all of us, which is why I love all these topics, because they just so nobody can stand on their soapbox of holier than thou, because we're not. It's all the same. It's all the same stuff.
It is.
Mm-hmm. So and this is one big step for me, is I used to get dehydrated and I didn't even realize it. And summertime in Arizona is obviously dehydration central. So even though this isn't quite a food thing, this is part of my, I feel like I keep a giant jar. It's like a big I think it was a pickle jar, maybe.
Looks like one.
I fill it up. I know. I've had people comment, like when I do blabs and stuff, they're like, you're constantly drinking this giant jug of water. And I'm like, I have to, because if it's not on my table and every time I look at it, I'm like, oh, that looks so wet and good. And drink it. I can go all, like I'm a camel. When we used to tour, we would make jokes because I would be driving and I could go so long without a potty stop because somehow I've trained myself not to drink that much water. So I'm trying to completely undo that.
Yeah. Huge.
But also, I think I used to snack when I was actually thirsty.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I felt like I needed something, and I particularly like salty snacks, which would probably make me even more dehydrated. Mm-hmm. So I feel like just drinking enough has changed how I eat some as well. So
one of the biggest symptoms of dehydration is fatigue. And then when we're fatigued, that leads into making poor food choices, because when we're tired and when we're hungry, like I talk about all these different triggers you can have. I use the acronym HALT: hungry, angry, lonely, tired. So you're tired and you're hungry, you're going to reach for whatever. So we always have to step back. And I think that that's what it really is about all this stuff, is step back and saying, what can I take responsibility for? So although drinking water may not seem like a huge thing for you, Jen, it is a really, really huge thing, because it is shaping the food choices you're making. It's shaping how your body feels from the inside out, which then changes your external world and how you navigate it. So it's a big deal. High five. Keep drinking your pickle jars of water.
Thanks. Yeah, I've decided to do like a few cornerstone things like that, like sleep, drink plenty of water. I try to eat fruit first thing. You know, I've tried to like make small changes that I don't have to remember lots of things. Because when I have to remember lots of things, it does. I mean, that's why I like systems for things, because holding stuff in my head, especially if I've had a tough night with my kids, or like actually last night, one of them would not fall. It was really hot. I had the windows open, the fans on. One would not fall asleep. My husband was out at a show that he had to review, and I don't know how late we ended up being up. So I am tired today. But, and so I was just thinking one more thing about the summer before we wrap this up, is also that while it can be tough for those of us who work from home, I think one of the big issues is people who don't work from home, who do work in offices, don't have as much leeway with having their kids at home with them. So I do feel like what we've all done is taking a big step to give us some more flexibility and freedom in terms of how we do that. And I don't know if like child endangerment laws have changed since I was a kid, because I remember being a latchkey kid when I was 7 and 8. Like I would come home and nobody was there because people were at work, and I had my own key and I would go home. I feel like under 11, you're not allowed to do that anymore, right? Just have a kid.
It depends on the state in the U.S. I don't know what it is in Canada.
I have no idea.
Yeah,
I personally never left my kids alone until, probably not until they were 11 or 12.
Yeah, because I feel like that's kind of when, like a big sister becomes responsible for a littler sister, like 12 years old. You can start maybe babysitting younger kids or something. But yeah, I think if you work outside of the home, you have to make some kind of arrangement if your kids are under, say, 11 or 12 or something like that.
Which it also really depends on the kid too, because some kids are like just far more mature. So you might get like an 8-year-old or a 9-year-old that is like on top of it and is really, responsible. And then you might have a 12-year-old that's like going to burn your house down. So I think it really depends on the kid.
Yeah.
Like my son is 13. We started leaving him alone when he was probably about 10. And we started off just by taking walks around the block. And, when he was at home during that, and then, we just kept sort of inching it forward, and then we'd start to go to the grocery store without him. This is, of course, when my daughter he wasn't taking care of it. And this is just when he was on his own. But like my daughter, like today is her birthday. She just turned 10 today. So,
happy birthday.
But she's like, there's no way I would leave her. There's no way I would leave her at 10 years old. So I just really do think it depends on the kid. And of course it does depend on your laws and stuff, but it's amazing how much things have changed in a generation. It's like the stuff that we did, big difference, but anyway.
And I think it does make a difference for moms earning money.
Yeah. Any quick tips, Jen, for how, for the moms and dads who have to work, so they don't have the same freedom and flexibility that we do, how they can pay for those extra costs during the summer, or how to budget for them, or how to decide how to make it all work?
Yeah. So I did actually write an article on Daily Worth about this recently, about how big a problem it is. And Maria Shriver recently put some things out that was saying that the summer holiday is one of the biggest financial burdens on working class families. And ultimately, I think we need some policy change. We can do lots of little Band-Aid things, like all of us should, pool our resources, talk to other parents. If our kids are in programs with other kids, try to find ways to carpool. I'll drop off, you pick up. I'll have the kids all over for sleepover tonight. Over the weekend, you do it, and I'll work on the weekend. Have your spouse take them on the weekend, so if there's any work you can do from home, data entry, any kind of solo tasks. Find if there are some ways that you can do work at home while your spouse takes your kids, if they're working full time. But I do think all of those things are kind of Band-Aids. If you have family in the area, if you have good friends, if you have neighbors, you can always try to do trades of different kinds. But I do feel like the school year, the way we have it set up, as much as I like the idea of long summers, lazy summers, like studies show that kids lose lots of retention of education, skills. I think kids get in trouble more often in the summer when they're bored, there are less things to do. It does cost us a lot if we need to be out of the home to earn money. So I think that we should all talk to our school boards, talk to our states, try to find ways to, I would encourage the bringing in on either side of summer. I don't think we should have no summer vacation, but honestly, most working people get a couple of weeks off, and a couple of weeks is what you end up spending your money on the vacation to take with your family somewhere. So all the rest of the summer, you're needing to save up for the vacation. A lot of people do. And also saving up for the summer, anticipating what your summer costs will be, and trying to save throughout the rest of the year always helps, of course, putting money aside for summer childcare and the vacation. But I ultimately think that, we're not in a agricultural society anymore, even though, my family has a ranch. So we kind of are. Most of us aren't. Like, you guys aren't needing your kids to harvest the fields in the summer. So I think these long breaks kind of are not that, it doesn't make that much sense anymore for the way we all live our lives.
We actually have 2 schools where I live that are year-long schooling. So they go January, February, March. They have April off. May, June, July, August off. September, October, November, and December off. So it's been a pilot project, and it's being really, really well received, because it's, like you said, it's been shown that kids learn better when they have shorter breaks as opposed to longer breaks. So they've been testing it out, and it's much easier to find. It's still now you're working against everybody else who's off for 2 months in the summer. So there's definitely challenges there. But that's something that we're actually running here in Canada and in certain parts of the country.
And you know what? I saw this really interesting article the other day that was on Daily Worth that showed there was a time when there was government-sponsored childcare, and it was during World War II, when the men were away and the women went to the factories, and it was, I'm trying to think of the name of the company. They have a lot of medical centers now. It's a very big company that sponsored these childcare centers, often next to the airplane factories, next to these places that were employing a whole lot of women. And it was federally funded. The link is on my Facebook page, and it's on Daily Worth if you want to search for it too. It was federally funded childcare, and they showed how it actually did work when the country needed women to be in the workforce because men couldn't be. Then the government made allowances for the fact that, oh my gosh, and you know what, not only was it childcare, it was 24-hour childcare.
Whoa.
Because some women were working the graveyard shift because they needed those airplanes to roll out 24 hours. Some women were working the weekends. Some women were working the holidays. So it was constant. And not only was it childcare, there was also nurses available, and there was a place for the sick children to go separate from all the other children. Wow. And they had teachers running the childcare center.
That's amazing. How progressive.
I know. So I was like, okay, so in this dire time of need, the country figured out how to do that. The thing is now, it's families who need 2 incomes. The idea of a 1-income family being able to survive, like, salaries just haven't kept up. So while it's not quite the same as a war situation, I think we're in a situation of dire need for there to be more universally available childcare that is really good for the children and can manage things like sick kids. Because how many of us, well, obviously we work from home, so it's a bit different, but how many women use their sick days for their children being sick, which then they go to work sick because they don't have any more sick days.
Right.
things like that. So I think policy change is needed. In the meantime, we need to Band-Aid up by helping each other out as much as we can, asking family, asking grandparents, all those sorts of things. But
start a co-op.
Yeah.
That's what we did when our kids were really little. I just had a group of mom friends and we just created a co-op, and we just did it. I don't even remember what website we used. There was something
like Meetup or one of those.
No, it was it actually was like a co-op website where you could create something, and then you could have shares. And so if, and one share equaled 1 hour, that sort of thing. And then so you could plug in, you would give, sign up for 12 hours or something a month, and then other people could use them. These are all people that knew each other. Mm-hmm. So, it was a known quantity here. You weren't just farming your kids out to anybody, but, so it was, I don't know, there were 20 of us or something that did this. And then you could just, if you needed a date night, or you needed to work, or if you had, another sick kid, but that kid wasn't sick and you could, but you just needed that space, then you could just sort of plug it in. I, for the life of me, I can't remember. I was in such a daze back then. I don't remember what the website was, but something, things like that out there exist, and it's sort of, like a 70s sort of retro, communal sort of thing that we can really take something, and repurpose and use that same idea to give each other a break, because, it really does take a village, even though we're all on this big, we live so individually. But it's so much harder.
Well, we could try to research and see if there's anything like that we can find and put it in the show notes.
Yeah, I'll try.
I'll put that article in there too, with the link to Maria Shriver and the federally funded childcare here in the United States, because I was shocked when I saw that.
Yeah, that's crazy. Cool.
Yeah. And I think we've hit our time pretty much.
Yeah. Do you want to quickly, though, Jen, tell everybody about what you have coming up for your membership and talk about that really quickly?
My challenge, is that what you mean?
Yes.
So I just recently created this challenge I'm super excited about. It's the Koan Marie Your Money Challenge. It's called the Life-Changing Magic of Koan Marie Your Money Challenge. And it's fun, and it's there to cut crap and spark joy. And we can put a link to that in the show notes as well, if you want to try it out. 7 days of using some of the techniques of Marie Kondo that she uses in her Life-Changing Magic of Tidying Up, which I'm sure Lisa is familiar with. I haven't managed to completely do it with my home, because the one fell swoop thing is really hard when you have lots of people and lots of rooms and stuff. But I've done it with sections of my home. Yeah. And that was good. And then I really liked applying some of them, because my favorite focus of the book is sparking joy.